So on the most recent episode of Dynamite, we learned who Bryan Danielson's first AEW World Championship challenger is going to be, and, well, the internet is not happy. But I'm happy, and you know why? Because I think AEW right here have secretly just booked something quite perfect. And while a lot of people may not have noticed exactly why this is the case, I did, a certain Andy Murray did within the What Culture office. And you know what? I'm going to talk about it. That's what we're here for. Let's get to it. Yes, I'm wearing a vest. It's really warm. I don't want to be a puddle, so this is what we're doing. Hi, I'm Gareth. This is What Culture, and here is AEW secretly booked something perfect, and nobody noticed. So before we get to Danielson's first challenger, we just got to spend a bit of time talking about how he got the belt in the first place, because that was special. I'm still not over it. Because I was inside of Wembley Stadium, my heart exploded watching Bryan Danielson somehow overcome the odds and actually beat this monster of a human being that was Swerve Strickland, who was beating him up and bloodying him up in front of his family. He did it. He did it for all the fathers out there. He did it for all the underdogs. I love that guy, and it was just a special moment. We're all singing Final Countdown. I will never forget it. Awesome stuff. But here's the big thing coming out of that. A lot of us were just like, well, where do we go from here? Like, how do you follow arguably one of the best, if not the best match in AEW history? Where do you go? Like, do you just retire on top? Do you just go, okay, I won the belt, okay, I'll just put it to one side now, let the rest of the hungry challengers go for it? No, you don't! That's not what Bryan Danielson does. He defends! That is exactly what he's gonna do. He's gonna defend this title, but then the minute that he loses this title, he will then officially retire from full-time wrestling. That's something that he said he was going to do for a year now, but he will officially do it when he loses that belt, but he ain't going to be losing it anytime soon. That's what he said. And then enter, well, a bit of a divisive choice, because a lot of people would have gone, you know what, Bryan Danielson's first defense, holding this AEW World Championship that he's wanted, well, on screen wanted for an awful long time. What do you do with it? Maybe you throw him into a big dream match with somebody like an Okada, or maybe run it back with Hangman. I don't know, something like that. Something really special and just marquee. But no, AEW went for what I like to call the old school route. They just looked at their roster and went, right, who's a person who every single person on the planet will look at right now and go, boo, we don't like you, straight away, without much build, without much need to reheat? Well, that person is, of course, it's Jack Perry. And what do you know? It was Perry who answered the call, the open challenge that Danielson put out there for All Out, which is less than 2 weeks away now. He did pop up, he did a bit of a bait and switch, he had a video on the Tron, then he sneak attacked Bryan Danielson. Everyone was like, wait, we're going for Perry? What? And when I say everyone, that's the people who don't get why this piece of booking right here is perfect, and it makes an awful lot of sense, but we'll get to that. First up, I want to talk about Perry just as a character over the last couple of weeks, couple of months, ever since he returned to AEW post, Wembley Real Glass shenanigans. So honestly, if you just put these two characters side by side, you got Jack Perry when he first turned heel compared to Jack Perry now, they are completely different people. He's come a long way over the last year or so, and that really started to become apparent, the character shift and the work that he'd been doing was really finally starting to click when he did eventually return to AEW after a little stint in New Japan. He came back, and that character, straight away people were thinking, that's a smug guy, that's a punchable face, I think we're onto something. And obviously in the weeks after this, he attacked Tony Khan, he was the Elite's golden boy, and he was just being handed things. He eventually won the TNT Championship and then turned that to the dark side, so it's a black and blood splattered thing now, which is interesting. It's an interesting choice. And then after this, he then got set on fire. He's been through a hell of a couple of months, really, if you look at it. But the interesting thing about this character is it's not just some kind of cowardly, spineless heel. There's been quite a little bit of grit in there as well. He's been through an awful lot. Because like I said, he's been set on fire. He was chained up to the steel cage at Blood and Guts and beaten to a pulp, and then he had a pretty intense match, the coffin match at Wembley. He's been doing an awful lot, Jack Perry. I think he's developed a bit more of a harder edge as well. He nearly ran over Darby Allin at the box on Dynamite, if I recall, a couple of weeks back. I thought he's going to kill a man. That is a development. It's a character that Perry just finally appears to be a bit more comfortable playing. It feels like he's just found certain elements within himself. He's people probably don't like me for this. People don't like all the real life stories that they're hearing, so I'm just going to take those, dial it up to 11, and then just give them a real reason to boot. And it's worked. And look, if you're one of the people who sat there going, well, Jack Perry doesn't deserve this is completely out of nowhere, well, I ask you very quickly to just think over the last couple of months and just look at that man's record. Because of course, as he mentioned on Dynamite, he has pinned Bryan Danielson. He did that in Anarchy in the Arena after he'd, been set on fire. And then after that, he actually managed to pin in Darby Allin, the person who's going to be challenging for a world title at Grand Slam, obviously because he's earned that shot. So he's kind of got a claim. He's got a bit of an honest claim here to go, well, I've pinned the champion, I've pinned the person that's probably going to wrestle the champion. I'm next. So that's the why answered. That's like a perfectly logical route to the title right there. But now let's look a little bit deeper at the actual matchmaking and why this is going to be such a beneficial 2-week program. Because look, Jack Perry is 27 years old. He's got an awful lot still to learn, and he's going to just come on absolutely leaps and bounds being around like super experienced people. And arguably right now there is nobody better on this planet when it comes to wrestling, fight me, than Bryan Danielson. He is the master of all of it, all aspects of professional wrestling. So getting even just 2 weeks worth of a program and a match out of the guy, it's going to just benefit Jack Perry beyond belief. Because if I know one thing about Bryan Danielson, he is a big old fan of putting over the next generation. He always wants to build somebody up. He's the most selfless guy in all of wrestling. He just is. So this match, the match that he's going to have with Jack Perry, it's probably going to be Jack Perry's best of his entire career. Danielson's going to make Perry look like $1,000,000 throughout. Like when he needs to get his stuff in, when he needs to look strong, Danielson will make him look strong. It's just what he does. He is an absolute expert in the craft. And instead of having the not very well defined babyface villain roles that we've had a lot in AEW over the last couple of years, especially around the world title scene, now we've got the most straightforward thing possible, because you got Bryan Danielson, man of the people, loving father who fights for his family on the biggest stage possible, against Jack Perry, most punchable human being we've ever seen in our lives, with a smug grin in his face that you just want to slap off. All that just has the makings of a match that's going to be hot. It's going to be so hot because you're going to have everyone cheering for Danielson, everyone booing Jack Perry out of the building. You can hear it already in a little way, can't you? You can just hear that. People want to see Jack Perry get his ass kicked by Danielson, and that is exactly what's going to happen. But before that happens, you know the drama is going to be off the charts with this one, because, like I said, there's that new stipulation here that if Danielson loses at any point while he's holding this championship, that's it. He's going to retire from full-time wrestling. So every single near fall that we get now in a Danielson match is going to be like, oh, no, this is it. This is the end. And you just know we're going to get a screwy near fall thing at some point. Like we're going to have Danielson get hit in the face with a steel chair or a title, or dropped on some real glass again, that kind of thing. You're going to see that at some point and go, oh, is this it? Are we going to lose him? And we won't, because Danielson does not lose to absolute idiots like Jack Perry. And of course, I'm talking about the character, not the human. Don't you start. And I must say, Jack Perry, just in general, as a wrestler, as a character, all these things, he's improved so much over the last year for me, over the last 6 months. I really enjoyed the Wembley match. I thought, yeah, obviously it had some time taken away. We've heard that now, like through the grapevine, all that kind of stuff. But on the night, I was like, yeah, this is kind of doing it for me. Like, it's short and sweet, loads of like nice gimmicky stuff. He's the kind of person that you just want to see get his comeuppance in a match, and we're definitely going to get that in the Danielson one. And I've already mentioned it a little bit, but the fact that he's a bit more unhinged as a character right now has made him infinitely more fascinating, because we've seen this guy attack somebody who was pretty much like injured and on the sidelines in Kenny Omega. He is not above doing that kind of horrendous thing. What is stopping him from targeting Danielson's neck? He mentioned it on Dynamite that he's probably going to need neck surgery at some point. You could just see Jack Perry just going up to him at some point and just stamping on his neck and doing something horrible, and then creating even more heat. There was so much more heat, my mouth couldn't handle it. And it's a really smart move for AEW. You've only got 2 weeks here, so you can't just keep throwing out dream matches and just going, okay, yeah, you're gonna like it, it's a dream match, because the energy won't be there. Yes, like people will cheer because it's Danielson, whoever the hell he was going to face if it was a dream match. Like people are going to be excited about it, but not as much, or they're not going to react as much to just somebody that they want to see get battered like Jack Perry. And it's quite interesting as well, because Christian Cage just won the Casino Gauntlet match at Wembley as well. So you're going to have a very similar dynamic, like when that match eventually happens, if he does challenge Danielson, if he's still holding the belt when that challenge does happen, you're going to have somebody who's just an absolutely despicable villain that everyone loves to boo, just, oh, we hate you, and they've got like a bit of a unit behind them in his like patriarchy clan. You're going to have that in Christian Cage. You're going to have something similar with Jack Perry and the Elite, and we're going to see Danielson have to overcome the odds, not once, but twice. It writes itself, really, in a way, doesn't it? And do not underestimate how big an opportunity this really is for Jack Perry right now, because he's not massively been around the main event scene over the last year or so, has he? He's not really been there. So if he can take this opportunity and really excel and really become like a top heel in the company, which Danielson's going to do everything he can to make him look like that, we could now have another person that steps into that top bracket of main event level star just for AEW to play with going forward. Because in order to really get yourself up to that main event level, you need to be put in these positions, these sink or swim kind of moments against the absolute best, the world-class talents out there. Bryan Danielson is undoubtedly that, one of the best in the world ever that kind of guy. You need to be in those positions just to excel and grow as a performer, and I think Jack Perry definitely will. He's a completely different performer to the last time that he was in this situation when he was up against the rest of the pillars and that kind of stuff. I think he's come on so much since then, and I actually feel like he's so much closer to being a main event star than a lot of people think. Now again, this may not have been on a lot of people's minds when they were thinking of the next step or the new direction for Danielson after winning the title, but in a way that's what makes it even more perfect, because you didn't see it coming, did you? It caught you off guard. It made you boo in the moment because you were shocked in the worst way, but also in the best way. And that for me is when AEW are at their absolute best, when they keep you on your toes a little way, but not in that horrible swerve way, not the character, the actual act of swerving someone, that kind of way where you go, oh, why have you done that for the sake of doing it? No, this is actually, it makes a lot of sense. You just didn't see it coming because it's somebody that you're not a big fan of. You've gone, oh, ah. So yeah, just to sum up, it makes sense. You've got two characters that are clearly defined in their roles right now, an obvious villain, an obvious hero, a young star that's going to benefit so much from being around and working with a top-level world-class superstar of the ages. And the match itself is going to get super hot and going to be super engaging in the matter of a week and a half. They've not had to do a massive build. It's a short build. They managed to cram all that in. Nobody needs heating up. You don't need an excuse to get angry or cheer for this. Everyone already has that. They just want to see the match now. It'll be short, it'll be sweet, and it'll be damn violent. The program, I think the match will probably be a half-an-hour bloodbath, but that's what we like. And in typical Bryan Danielson fashion, it is another way of giving back as he slowly just heads towards the full-time retirement door, but he's not done just yet. For me, it is a perfect bit of business, and I cannot wait to see Bryan Danielson teach this kid, this punk kid, a thing or two about the business, and maybe even make him cry in a river. Thank you very much for watching this What Culture Wrestling video today, all about this AEW piece of booking that is secretly perfect, but a lot of people didn't notice. If you've enjoyed it, if you've enjoyed what we've just done here, just click on this other video that's around my head right now. Really quickly before I go, thank you again very much for everyone who turned up at our live show that we had in London, right next to Wembley Stadium. It was amazing. Thank you for taking selfies. Thank you for being just amazing every time that you came over and spoke to all of us. We loved it just as much as clearly I think you guys all loved it. So it was amazing. One of the most incredible things, my favorite thing that I've ever done with this company. So thank you for that. And just now, go and have a good day and try and erase the image of this bald idiot dancing around in a vest. Bye bye.